Swing and a miss. Strike three. 3-2. Schwarber chased a bad one there. Wow, Schwarber's tough couple of days continue. Remember, he homered on Friday, but he has struck out in every at-bat his last 2 days.
It's just ugly at the dish for Kyle Schwarber. Struck out 3 times today before being pitch hit for by Albert Almora. Schwarber has now struck out in 7 straight plate appearances. The record is 12. That's held by Sandy Koufax. Dylan, if you're Joe Madden, what do? You already sent the guy down to the minors. You were hoping he would regain his confidence there. Still hitting below 200 where he's been for the majority of the season. How can you try to help this youngster get on the right track?
It's tough to say. You know, I think at a certain point, you have to almost start platooning him a little bit. And even with the platooning, sometimes he just can't play. You know, and that's got to be the grim reality of it. This is not October 2016. This is not, you know, October 2015 when he was hitting bombs on top of the Budweiser scoreboard against the Cardinals in that playoff run. Things change, and guys lose their form a little bit. When you look at Kyle Schwarber, I think he's a little too homer happy. That swing is still very long. He fixed it for a little bit, got that average creeping closer to the Mendoza line, but he's still at 191 right now. And for me, that swing is too long. He's not shortening up. He's not using left field near enough. When he's going well, he's using that opposite field, left center gap. He's spraying it to all fields. And that's really what had Joe Madden putting him at the top of the order, thinking, hey, I think this guy could be a leadoff hitter. I know he's filled with pop, but he could actually set the tone and be a spark plug at the top of the order. Those days are long gone. And now for me, I got to challenge him by saying, go take a seat. Almora, who's a guy that's been hitting closer to 300 all year in sporadic time, give him the benefit of the doubt. This is a guy that's a way better fielder. And you know
Emphasis on way.
Caps, underline, bold. I just think at a certain point, maybe, you know, for so many people to challenge them in their everyday life, you got to take away what they love most. And for a baseball player, it's at bats, it's playing time. So when you take that away from Kyle Schwarber and you say, you're playing to the point where I can't give you the most valuable thing I can give an offensive player and a positional player, which is playing time and at bats, I'm going to give that to a guy that deserves it more than you, and that's Albert Almora. Maybe some other guys. John Jay is certainly playing better right now. And I think maybe that'll wake him up and kick him in the ass a little bit to say, let me put in the work in the cages to start finding my opposite field swing, to start shortening up with 2 strikes. You know, we've seen his own teammate, Anthony Rizzo, with 2 strikes kind of choke up, and he's not scared of going the other way. That's something Schwarber's got to be able to do because he's too predictable right now. He's swinging for the fences, and he's swinging through a lot of pitches that he should be hitting.
You know, in the past, there have been some talk about he really needs to be in the AL. He should only DH because he's certainly not good in the outfield. You mentioned Albert Almora. Way better than him fielding. But I wonder if this now has even hurt his trade value where the Cubs can't really get much for him.
I don't want him as my DH. I don't want a DH that's hitting 191. You know, I mean, the guy's just, his on-base percentage is 304. There's a lot of guys in the American League that are DHing whose batting average is 304.
Hands down.
For me, it just gets to a point where maybe you start to see a little bit of him breaking through and finding light at the end of the tunnel in BP. Then you get him some sporadic at-bats at times. But he should not be an everyday player at this point for me. And you got enough time for maybe that to light a fire underneath him so that he can get his form back before the playoff run. But at this point, he's not helping the team win. And you got to get to the playoffs before you can light a fire on him to help you in October. You got to get to October.
When he is in a groove, though, we know Schwarber is a huge, big-time power hitter. So if you're Joe Madden, at some point you want to try to get him some at-bats, and hopefully he can turn a